Hello guys, welcome back to a new episodes of VLSIgyan, and yes, I'm gonna solve this puzzle today. And this video not only help your inquisitive mind to know more things about VLSI industry, but also prepare you for the most asked question in VLSI job interview, and that is why only Cmos. So let's get started. And for new people, I am your dost and big brother Rajdeep, and currently I am working with Intel. So why in modern day VLSI technology Cmos is so popular? And actually popular is the wrong word. We can say that Cmos is omnipresent in the all circuits. For example, the device now you are holding on to, its brains are 99% of made of Cmos only. So this is gonna be very interesting that how Cmos got so popularity. Those who are very new to electronics field, for them in electronics we have largely two devices. Devices means the building blocks. One is our BJT and other is our MOSFET. BJT is very old and it's gone away, and MOSFET is the building block of our Cmos. So just look around yourself and see in the electronics currently what we need the more. For example, now we have mobile phone, and that mobile phone can shoot my video, I can call you, I can send you SMS. Mobile phone is like everything, right? But how it got possible? It is got possible only because our mobile phone has that processor capability. Like in early 90s days, there we had to have two devices. One is for calling people and another is for sending SMS only. That time we can't combine these two things, because if we combine it will be a bulky thing. We can't carry it for our daily purposes. So that's why we had two things. But as we are evolving, and nowadays we can able to not only SMS and calling but other facilities also inside a small mobile device. Perfect. And this is happening because of majorly four aspects, and there we have the power thing. Like our mobile phone has a very small battery, but it can handle it for one day without any issue. So our any circuits which we are using, we don't know it's CMOS or not, but any device, any circuits which we are using is very power efficient, perfect. Secondly, it's very fast, because now you can stream full HD video, you can play games, and those need a tons of computing power, and for that your circuit, which is the main thing, need to be very fast. And third, it should be densely packageable, because for like our earlier example, for calling and for writing SMS we need the processing power, and if we want to combine these two things, then the simple chip need to be more power of computing. And this can only be achieved by densing more and more logic into a small piece of chip, and that can only be done if things which we are using can be packaged very densely. And fourth point, it need to be noise immune. Noise immunity have many meanings. I'll come to that in later part. Reason of CMOS so popular because it tick all the 4 points. So how CMOS becomes so power efficient and how we can densely pack it, and that thing you will understand by these things. See, any device consume power in three situations. One, when it is loading the input. Two, during when you are not using that device, at that time if it consume power, then call it static power dissipation. And three is dynamic power dissipation, when it's actually doing the work. I'll explain all the three things now. To consume power, we need the voltage and the current flow, because the formula of power is V into I. So if somewhere we have a millions of volt of voltage drop, but at that position current flowing is 0, that means that device consuming 0 power. And same thing happen with our CMOS also, or the MOSFET also, which load approximately 0 power from the input device. We have our device here, which is our CMOS here, and we are giving some source is giving the power or current or voltage to our CMOS. CMOS to consume power, he or she, you don't know the gender, need to allow both voltage drop at the input part, and it need to draw some current inside it. Then only the input power loading or the input power dissipation will be here. Correct? But see the construction of our MOSFET. this is your substrate, perfect. Then we have the drain and source, and then we have the gate. And if you can see any logic of CMOS, for example our favorite inverter, then all the input are connected to gate only, and this gap between the gate terminal, which is earlier used to be metal but now polysilicon, and the substrate, we have a insulator, and that is SiO2. Ideally there should be zero current drop, but actually there are some current drop in microampere and nanoampere, but we can ignore for now, and we can say that here voltage drop is happening but we have no current drop. So there only our CMOS has zero input current or the power consumption. Then come to our second point where we can save power, and that is static power consumption. And static power consumption means if I am not using this device imply our CMOS or the MOSFET, perfect. So if I am not using the device, and if that device in standby mode also consuming some power, then we will call it as it's have some static power consumption. And how CMOS eliminate that? Let's take a very simple CMOS circuit. So this is our all favorite inverter. What does inverter do? Inverter just invert the signal. If it is 1, it will be 0. If it is 0, it will be 1. And digital means playing between 0 and 1 only, binary only, right? So that's why inverter form the nucleus of all the digital circuits. Anytime if we say that our output is high, which imply in output side our voltage would be very high, perfect. And which thing store the voltage? Just remember, it is your capacitance. And in the output, like if you see books, sometimes it is written like this, we have a output capacitance, but this is not actually physical capacitance. This is the capacitance formed between the two nodes of the following circuit. Like following will have some circuit, perfect, and they will have some input nets, and between that input nets and the ground we will be having a parasitic capacitance. And our output is high means that imaginary capacitance is storing the high voltage. Now if I give a 1 in input, 1 means high voltage, it could be a 5 volt or 1.2 volt, whichever the high voltage is defined in that technology only. So if I give the high voltage or the logic 1, then what is happening? Our PMOS will get turned off, and PMOS getting turned off means between its source and drain will be having a very high resistance, and high resistance roughly we can just delete it, because very high resistance means there is no path to current flow. And this will be on, our NMOS will be on, and NMOS all on means very low resistance, so we roughly can replace this circuit with a very small resistance. So what is happening now? This capacitance was before in stored high voltage, but as it have a path to the ground, so it will dissipate and our output will be in low level, or means our capacitance is now storing 0 voltage, and we have given a high input and we are getting a 0 output, and that is the work of our inverter. And see, current can flow in this circuit from input side or from VDD side, perfect. You are with me, I guess. And in our last point we have already proved that input current is in very small, in nanoamp or in microamp, so we can neglect it, like 0 current is loading. And as there is no current flow from VDD side also, that means if you don't see minutely, you will say 0 power, like our inverter is consuming 0 power. But hey guys, not 0, it is consuming some power, and that is this power, because when that capacitor need to dissipate, then it will initiate some current to flow through this NMOS. Remember, this resistor was NMOS earlier, so at that part only we will consume a small amount of power, and this power is called a dynamic power, because here we are doing some work, we are getting our output from high to low. But once this transition is done, then this current flow will be no longer exist, and then if we don't change our input, that means our in standby our inverter circuit will consume roughly zero power, and that is the static power is zero. Like CMOS consumes static power 0. This is the statement. Now compare this with some other logic. For example, our NMOS logic. And NMOS logic, as name suggests, we have only the NMOS, and in pull-up side we have only a resistor and it is connected to your VDD. Perfect. And same way we'll have an imaginary capacitor here. Same operation if we do, like if we give a 1 here input, then this MOSFET will change with a very small resistor, and this is connected here roughly. From input side current will be 0. You can't get it because it is a MOSFET. But see here, after this dissipation of output capacitance is done, then also we will have a path from VDD to VSS. That means our inverter is doing nothing at that time, but still we have a path, and that's why our NMOS logic has the static power dissipations. And that is true for TTL logic also. TTL logic is worse than that, because in TTL logic generally we use BJT. Perfect. And BJT is a current controlling device, and current controlling means from input also it draws some current, and then we have that effect also, that static power also. TTL is very worst, and that's why study found out that CMOS power consumptions is 7 times more efficient than our NMOS logic and 100,000 times efficient than our TTL logic. And if we are getting so much of power benefit, then who will use TTL and NMOS in a mobile circuit or in a laptop? Who will use? Nobody. These are powered by battery, and that's the main reason for CMOS being so successful. And see, if it is consuming less power, that means less of heating issue, and that means we can include more device close together because there is no heating issue, so there is less concern of giving space for heat dissipations. So that's why we can, like, this is the one fact only, that we can pack our MOSFET more closely than other logic. So 2 point is got covered. Third point is that how it become noise immune. So in digital era, what we do, we send out flow of 0 1 0 1. Right now only you are seeing my video, but actually these are only streams of 0 and 1. I am coming to your house only in streams of 0 and 1, and that 0 and 1 are traveling through oceans, the air, the snow, the mountains and everything. Now as those streams are flowing through those harsh conditions, there would be all possibility that this one when reached to you might not be 1, and due to noise this one can reach to you as 1.2 or 0.98 or something below, and this 0 virtually can be in minus part, or it could be 0.2 also. So how your device decide that it is 0 and that is 1? It is because roughly they have a margin here around 0.5. It is not exactly 0.5. These topics are for some other day, like margin of noise, but roughly speaking they have a margin here. Like if it is above 0.5, then assume it as 1, and if it is below 0.5, then assume it as 0. Perfect. So that means when you are generating a signal, at that time if you can generate it at perfectly 1 high logic and perfectly 0 the low logic, then we'll have a high margin of error, because we will have a margin of error from 1 to up to 0.5. That is where CMOS help you. For that we need to have our inverter back. So let's draw our inverter again. So this is our inverter, and if we take the previous example, then we have given a high logic, and with a high logic our PMOS will turn off and our NMOS will be a very low resistance things. Okay, and in standby mode we have a 0 current, roughly 0 current. Reality it will be in nano or pico ampere, but roughly 0 ampere. Perfect. And what's our formula of voltage drop? It is V is equal to IR. So if some current is going through it, then we will have some voltage here, and if we have some voltage, for example if it is 0.02 volt, For example, and we want to drop our high voltage, which is for this example 5 volt, then this 5 volt can dissipate up to 0.02 volt only. It can't be dissipate up to 0 volt. That is, the 0 in our logic won't be a 0 volt and it will be a 0.02 volt. And same thing is true for the reverse logic, and there will be have something like 4.98 volt as our high logic. So here we are sacrificing some noise margin, right? In our CMOS, as this current is 0, so roughly speaking there will be no voltage drop during standby mode, and that means our capacitance can drop to really 0 volt and can pull up to really 5 volt. And then there we'll have the noise immunity part. Like CMOS is very noise immune because it's have a high noise margin. And in 0.4 our CMOS is very fast. From here only you can see it, because this resistor is very small. That means our power, our discharging of capacitor and charging of capacitor will be very fast. So that's why CMOS considered faster. There are other reasons also, but I'm not going to those technical for now. And there are some other reasons also, like MOSFET is very simple to fabricate. You know the fabrication, then you will know that. If you don't know, comment it down. I'll make one video on fabrication also. CMOS can be scaled very easily. Like you could be hearing, like now 5 nanometer device is coming, then 3 nanometer device is coming. And why this is possible? Because scaling is so easy. Because the formula of scaling in CMOS is very predictable. Before you scale, you can predict like what will be my performance and everything else, which is not in the case of BJT. So CMOS is ruling the industry for 4 decades, and in 2024 we may gonna see 3 nanometer nodes, or Intel has already announced that it will go into the Armstrong era, or it is launching 1.8 nanometer nodes. But what after that? Because at 1 nanometer of the gate length we will have only some few atoms, 5 or 6, and at that level manufacturing and the quantifying all the process is very hard. So we can say that we are at some roadblock in CMOS. And same things happened during 2011 also. At that time we used to manufacture only the planar CMOS, and planar CMOS are the picture. These are the picture which you see in books generally, but currently look like this, but they look like this, and these are called finFETs. And when at 2011 planar CMOS hit the wall and we can't go beyond 20 nanometer nodes, at that time Intel, our favorite Intel, has announced that they will be launching the finFET, and finFET can go beyond 20, and now we are seeing that we can have 3 nanometer, 5 nanometer. But what after that? Because according to this Hindu article, for metaverse need to be real, we need more 1000 time computing power, and computing power means more devices in the same size, and which imply devices need to be shrinked down more. But now we are at saturation mode. So for that, should we go beyond CMOS technology also? And this is a question for some other video. Till then, keep subscribing and share to your VLSI enthusiast friend. Bye bye and see you in our next video. And before that, I want to thank my all subscribers. Really, I love you. And you can press down like button to let me know that you were here. What about those who have not subscribed? I think you have already subscribed. Everyone is subscribed already.